During the Gulf War in 1991, NATO and the United States called for a global coalition to fight Saddam Hussein and his dictatorial regime. The British allies took the new Challenger 1 tanks to their first combat tour, and the Soviet T72 tanks employed by the Iraqis were no match to this colossus, the spiritual descendant of the Centurion tank. During the many desert engagements against the enemy, one Challenger managed to score the longest tank-on-tank kill at over 5,000 meters when it destroyed a T-72 tank that was believed safe from British range. The feat is still considered the most impressive ever achieved in the history of armored warfare. The Gulf War. The Gulf War's combat phase officially began on January 17, 1991, and it witnessed the world's biggest coalition of countries after World War II. Over 35 nations, led by the United States, waged war against Iraq and its leader, Saddam Hussein, after he decided to invade and annex Kuwait. The intervention of NATO and its allies was initially codenamed Operation Desert Shield during the troops' buildup. Once all participating nations were gathered in Saudi Arabia for the attack, the operation became Desert Storm. The conflict was nicknamed the video game war by the media due to the sheer amount of footage and images that came out of it and were broadcasted to a global audience. The Gulf War ended in February of 1991 after Iraq withdrew from Kuwait. Hussein's military was reduced to rubble. Challenger 1. The British Challenger 1 was the descendant of the Centurion, one of the last tanks that saw action before World War II came to an end. The British military originally designed the tank to be sold to Iran, but after the Iranian Revolution of 1979, the contract was terminated. Consequently, the British Army decided to continue developing the tank for its own use. It eventually became a worthy competitor to the American Abrams, German Leopard 2, and the Russian T-90. The tank entered service in 1983. An impregnable Cha-bomb armor protected the Challenger. It could deflect 125mm gun rounds from Iraqi T-72s from less than 500 meters. Like other modern tanks of the era, the Challenger was equipped with a 120mm gun with 64 rounds. It had an effective range of 1,200 meters. The United Kingdom was one of the US's most powerful allies, and they supplied the largest contingent of friendly troops from Europe. Operation Granby was the codename used by the British military for its actions during the Gulf War. Troops from all of its three branches participated in the war. So did 221 Challenger tanks. Blowing a tank from 5,000 meters. Personnel from Vickers Company adapted the British Challenger tanks for desert combat in Saudi Arabia with an array of new additions, such as night vision, explosive reactive armor, and smoke generators. The 7th Armoured Brigade was composed of 2 regiments, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards and the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars. British officials were worried about the performance of the Challenger against the numerically superior Iraqi T-72 tanks. The Challenger had developed a mediocre reputation due to technical problems and poor performance during NATO tank competitions against friendly nations. But the Challengers would quickly prove their worth during combat in the Gulf War. On February 26, 1991, during the last days of the offensive, a Challenger shot an enemy T-72 tank from a distance of 5,100 meters with a depleted uranium round. With an effective range of just 1,200 meters, none of the tankers believed they would score a direct hit. But they did, and soon the enemy tank caught fire. Everyone was astonished. A British crew had just achieved the longest tank-on-tank kill ever recorded. Several sources claimed the distance between the tanks was 5,100 meters, while a friendly tanker nearby claimed the shot was actually from 4,700 meters. Either way, the shot surpassed its operational range of 1,200 meters by almost 3 times. Before this shot, an Elephant from the 614th Heavy Armor Tank Destroyer Company held the longest tank kill reported record when it destroyed a Soviet T-34 tank from a distance of 4,500 meters during the autumn of 1944. The British forces excelled in their effectiveness, displayed by their 1st Armored Division during the Battle of Norfolk on February 27th, known as the second largest tank battle in American history. Their Challenger 1 tanks knocked over 200 Iraqi T72 tanks without losing any of their own. Overall, the British Challengers managed to blow out more than 300 Iraqi armored vehicles, and the lucky shot earned the model a formidable reputation among NATO tanks. It was the birth of a legend. Please like and subscribe to watch more content in our Dark Documentaries channels, and tell us in the comments below about other topics of your interest.